Good morning. Welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee. My name's Lance McKinnon, and I'm here with my co-host, Tiffany Linderman. Good morning, Tiffany. How are you today?
Hey, Lance, I'm good. It's a beautiful morning. How are you doing?
I am absolutely wonderful, drinking my Fifth Acres coffee from Good Brothers Cafe in Harrisburg, Midtown. Soon to have a second location. So props to Good Brothers Cafe for
Hey.
expanding.
That's
You guys,
amazing.
I know, this coffee. I'm addicted to it. I love this stuff.
If you're ordering more, you got to tell me. I need to throw my order in at the same time, okay? Come on.
I will, for certain. I'll make sure. Yeah, I'll make sure you get some. So is it just us, Tiff? We're just kind of,
Absolutely not. We got a special guest today.
okay, excellent. Where's our, we got us out of, from the south, west? I mean, we've been all over the place.
We're going down
Oh,
south today.
we're
So
going
we got
down
our
south
buddy
today.
getting all ready
All right.
here. Yeah. Gary G. McDonald is here today. How are you doing?
Hey,
Yes.
Outstanding.com
good.
in the building. Hey.
Good morning, Gary. How are you today? Thank you for
Yes,
joining
sir.
us.
Outstanding. Feeling good, feeling good.
Oh, well, thank you very much for being on Saturday Morning Coffee.
Yes, sir.
I know that you were lighting it up down there in the south. I mean, my man Eddie called me up, said there's a brother down here that is doing huge things with the local police department, civilians, and making an impact on youth lives. And I was like, we got to get him on Saturday Morning Coffee because, I mean,
Right.
you're out there on the streets grinding. So
Yeah.
I don't want to take your thunder. But you know, that was the best way I could introduce you. But welcome again, and
Yes,
hey,
sir.
just tell us about who Gary is, and about what you're doing on the streets, man.
Yeah, I'm Gary Giovanni McDonald, philanthropist, activist, father of 5. I have putting that work in. My dad used to do the same thing. He used to feed the homeless, used to help people. At first, when we were younger, I used to look at him crazy, like, why you taking our money, spending on these people that you don't know? But after you learn the inner workings and energy and karma and just helping people, you learn that those are things that you're inherently supposed to do. Like, it's taken on to me, and he put it on. He didn't put it on me like per se, but I feel that I need to do this outside of my brothers and sisters. I don't think they would have done it the way that he needed it to be done, but so I put it on my back and I decided to do it in a different fashion. Like I say, I've been in the streets. I sold drugs. My parents been in and out of different motels for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Bad credit, job situations, whatever the reason was, Lance and Tiffany, they was in and out of motels and they took us along for the ride. So while we was in and out of these different motels, I remember one day my youngest brother, he was born in 77. I was born in 75. I didn't know how to swim at the time, but he was drowning. And I don't know if it was divine intervention or what, but I jumped in the pool and swam to him and saved him. And from that day on, we were really good swimmers, both of us. But like I said, if we didn't stay in that motel, I don't think that would have happened to us, and I would have learned how to swim in that fashion. But I was able to save my brother and teach him how to swim later in life. Went to elementary school, middle school, good grades. But before going to school, my dad and mom used to be on drugs. So they used to leave us home a lot by ourselves. So my sister, my oldest sister, which is only a few years older than me, she used to cook for us. She used to get us ready for school. And like, if it really wasn't for my sister doing those things, I don't know where I would be or where many millions of other Americans would be without their siblings having to get them ready while their parents do whatever they're doing. We never judged our mom and dad for what they did and them leaving us home by ourselves. I just used to feel bad waking up in the morning and not seeing them. But it was a comforting feeling to know that at least my sister was there getting us dressed for school that next morning. You know what I'm saying? So it felt a little better, but it wasn't that feeling that a child would have if they saw their parent there. But I'm quite sure, like I said, a lot of people could relate to that. But we were in and out of foster homes. My mom and dad got themselves together. They got us out of the foster home, and we went to the Poke and Bean projects. We moved down to Miami. They got themselves together, my daddy in particular, and he started going to church, and he got us in the church. And that's what we started doing, I'll say 3 to 4 times a week. We would go to church, Bible study, family training hour, kids day, like whatever they were doing, we were there throughout the week. And at the time, I didn't understand why he had us in church or why he wanted us to be there so much. But then as I got older and got in my teenage years, I sat there and thought myself, like, what he was thinking as a teenager and what he was going through and how he was feeling losing his kids to the system. So I kind of put myself in his shoes in that perspective, but I didn't get too deep into it, but I did kind of put myself into how my daddy or my mom felt at the time where they lost us, when it should have been the other way around. But I did put myself in that spot. And I don't know why I did it, but I think more so it was for me to kind of test myself, Lance and Tiffany, as to see who I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were on our own as kids. And for me not to whine and cry so much and for us to take that on and deal at such a young age, I think I was more like testing myself to see if I could really do it or not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that's more what I was really doing than crying or worrying or are they coming back? You know what I'm saying? I think I was testing myself. For some reason, I was self-aware and I knew what was going on around me, but if a child talked the way I did when I was growing up, they'll say, you been here before, or you crazy, or like, why you talk like that? You know what I'm saying? So it's some stuff kids keep to themselves.
Yeah, because, you know, just kind of go back, I don't want to interrupt you, but it's kind of like we got to go through something to get to something, you know?
Right.
I think you were asking that same thing, you on that same page, Tiffany?
Absolutely. You're like brainwaves. We're sharing the brainwaves.
Yeah, well, we're drink the same coffee. I mean, I get it.
Right.
You know? But yeah, but
good brother's coffee.
Exactly. So Tiffany, what are you saying?
No, I was just gonna say I mean, you've been through an absolute lot. And so, you know, hands down, I mean, your story is just life-changing. I mean, honestly, but where I was going to go and what Lance was touching on is the fact that I think as you share your experiences of, you know, your family and talking about the fact that you guys, you know, giving money and giving back to others. I mean, fortunately, you learned that at a young age, but also I think all the things that you've been through, I think that gives you this caring heart that you want to be able to make an impact on other people's lives because of everything you've experienced and gone through. That I think that you have a different light or vision that you're bringing to your life and what you're doing. And so I was curious a little bit about the sort of the partnership program that you have with one of our previous guests that we've had. And Lance, I know you probably wanted to talk about this, but I was going to ask, so I know you're working with a gentleman named Eddie McGovern.
Right, with Be Strong and his CERA, yeah. I've been knowing him forever, since I was younger. Yeah, I've been knowing him for a really long time, and it's unfortunate the way that we met, but it's also a good way. It's also a good thing and how we met. And a few years ago, I say 2 years ago, I was able to put on this program called Brunch with the Badges, where I wanted the community and the police to meet. And we were able to sit down, and the police were able to meet these kids that are growing up. And I want them to know their faces. I want the kids to know the police faces. So when they do start to grow up, if they start to go a different route or deter from what they were taught early on, at least they'll know those kids' faces. And instead of it being a bad interaction, Tiffany, it'll be a little bit more subtle. Like, hey, Gary, I remember you. It won't be the aggressive thing that we've been seeing over the years with our kids in the Black community. It'll be a little bit better. Oh, that's my thing.
I love that. So it's like it's almost getting to know one another, like human to human, person to person.
Yeah.
And so that it can be more of a coaching and teaching moment versus it, as you said, you just sort of described coming and just being like, you did something wrong, this is a big issue. And I totally get that. And I think that that's amazing. I've never actually heard that before, but I love that idea.
If you're a police officer and you encounter me, I have tattoos everywhere, gold teeth, but you don't know my vernacular, you don't know my rhetoric, you don't know how I speak at all, you don't know anything about me. All you see is this Black guy with this hood on. So most people just go off of that instead of actually talking or interacting with the person. They just go off of the appearance, the physical appearance, right? I saw, I don't know if y'all remember Jenny Jones show some years ago, but she had Damon John and a bunch of rich people on her show, different colors, right? And they wore different clothes. Some had on hoodies and sneakers and this and that and the other. But they asked the audience, hey, what do you think he do for a living? They got the baddest reviews, Lance. People thought they were drug dealers, criminals, but all these people were rich. Who knew? They were going off of the physical appearance, right, Tiffany? They didn't know these people were wealthy millionaires. They were just going off of what they saw and what the TV portrayed Black people to be, or somebody wearing a hoodie would look like, or how they would present themselves. But if you're not given a chance to present yourself or talk, and somebody's clutching their purse and they're already judging you, you know what I'm saying? Like, we won't never be able to get the jobs, or we won't never be able to sit in a meeting and be able to hold a decent conversation with people to be able to get somewhere in life. Even though I changed my life 20-something years ago, Tiffany, because I had that felony, people will still look at me like I'm a bad guy. I swear to God. You probably won't, Lance probably won't, but I swear and I'm a Republican. I'm a registered Republican. But people will still look at me, Tiffany, like I'm out there raping, robbing, and killing people. And I haven't been in trouble in more than 20 years. But once you have a felony, it follows you to the grave. It follows you to the grave. People don't want to admit it. You can't find a job. You can't find nowhere to stay because of a felony you got when you were a kid. A kid.
Yeah.
I'm 46, Tiffany. Lance, I'm 46. And they still judge me like I did this shit the other day. Sorry for cursing, but they judge me like I did something the other day, Lance. Like I did this shit the other day. This was 20 years ago, but they look at me like I did it the other day, Lance. On God.
So how's the kids receptive to this in the community? Because I know it's taking,
that I talk to?
Yeah, it's taking a life of its own.
They're very receptive, and I go to schools, middle schools, elementary schools. I talk to them, and like I said, I get on their level. I don't talk like a person that's coming with all these big words. And like I say, I had a vernacular. I can talk like that, but I want to get on people's level. I want to meet people right where they at. You feel me, Lance? Mm-hmm. So if you could meet these kids where they at and get on their level and talk like them, no matter how gangster or how thugged out it might seem to a grown-up, but for a grown-up to get on that level with a kid, that means a lot to that kid. I promise you it does. I had kids that used to break in houses that stopped doing all of that just because I was able to get on their level.
That's absolutely amazing. And then once you're on their level and you have that interaction with the local authorities, I mean, obviously, you know, you're meeting in the middle, like the middle of the road, you know, the double line. You know,
Right.
you're that little space or the hyphen.
Right.
I'll call it the hyphen between OH and IO, you know, the hyphen.
Right.
I had to get that.
I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, I had to get that in there. But no, but that's fabulous because we need more of this in our communities. You know, just not in the South. We need it all over the place because it will help stop youth crime. I mean, we can help slow it down. You know, it's just not just in the cities. You know, in the suburbs as well too. You know, we need it.
That's one thing. I'm trying to
this thing
slow
all the way around.
recidivism. Right. I'm trying to slow recidivism down and trying to keep kids out of prison. But if you could go all the way back to 60s, 70s, 80s, everybody that's done something, that's been a part of something, what happened to them? They were infiltrated and knocked off because they were doing something good. Not that they were doing something bad, but because they were changing minds and doing something good. People throw all of these distractions and you know the media run everything. So right now, I could be on TV with y'all right now doing this interview. It could be on Channel 7 right now, and I just rape and rob somebody. And Channel 7 show it, or whatever news outlet show it, and everybody will believe that until y'all show this interview. You get it? Like, they say you prove it and you're innocent until proven guilty, but we all know that's a lie. We all know we living in two different Americas. But like I say, people are scared to talk about it because of what's been happening to people of the past. The Martin Luther King, the Malcolm X's, the Huey P. Newtons, all of those people gone. But they were doing the same thing Gary doing, but a little bit more radical. But they were around and they were making a change. And when they're doing that on that level of thinking and consciousness, people get scared of it. Like they say, people, they fear of what they don't understand. I get it. But people shouldn't have to die. You shouldn't have to kill a brother. You shouldn't have to kill your sister. You shouldn't have to kill this guy just to silence him, like Colin Kaepernick. You shouldn't have to do nothing bad, or you shouldn't have to suspend this dude to make him lose his career because that's what he believes in, because he don't want to see black kids get killed. Like, you should suspend him or kill a dude or blackball him because that's what he honestly believes in. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I know we're just coming out of COVID and we're wrapping up and all the other stuff, but I want to touch on, because I know you're really busy, but I want to touch on not only that you're working in the streets, impacting kids, you also have written some books as well. You've authored some books. I want to touch on that too, because I want to get people out there to, you know, to check out your stuff.
Yes, sir.
Elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, like I say, this book right here, I wrote 14, now it'll be 16 years ago, this book. But every relationship that I was in, I carried it with me and added more stuff to it. This is Pillar to Post 1, A Felon Story. Mm-hmm. I took this book everywhere I go and just added more stuff in it pertaining to that relationship. But this is the one that started me off. I held on to it everywhere I went. I would add stuff in the middle of the night. I would hear a song and add something into it. But this was the book that started me off, and I paid a publisher to do this one for me. This is the last time I paid a publisher to do a book for me. Yeah. Everything else I self-published, but this is the first.
How many books in total have you written?
I've written 15, but I published 9. But I have books on the side in a book bag that's already done, and I just go back throughout my time and just start typing it up.
Can I just add, you're not only working and helping out, youth and everything, but you're writing books, and you also have don't you have a full-time job too?
Yeah. And hey, Tiffany, I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's the crazy part. And a lot of people probably won't believe it, but people that probably live like me and that are hustlers probably will. All of my books, Lance, I wrote at work.
Hey, you know what? It makes sense.
Phone calls.
Yeah.
In between phone calls, I'm writing in these books. In between phone calls.
Yeah.
While I'm waiting on the next phone call, I'm writing. Or I'm hearing something a female saying that pertains to my book or a guy, and I write it in somewhere on a scratch sheet of paper. That's what I'm doing throughout the day. Or I ask them, hey, what you think of this? I'm writing this book. What you think of this? And they'll give me their input, and I write it down somewhere while I'm at work.
Immediate gratification. Immediate gratification right there. Yeah. No, I think anybody who is a multitasker, who is trying to push the envelope, both Tiffany and I were not surprised when you said writing that down while you were at work. Because, I mean, anybody who is trying to get to the next level, that's trying to make an impact on people's lives, time is of the essence. And so you got to utilize your time the best way you can. I mean, who gets to sit down for an hour at the end of the day? When's the end of the day? When your head hits the pillow. So you got to utilize every minute that you
hold on. I forgot to tell you this, Lan and Tiffany. While I'm writing this down and waiting on phone calls, I'm playing chess. And while I'm writing these books, like people in my office, they watching me playing chess. I'm teaching them how to play chess, and I'm writing these books and waiting on phone calls at the same time.
That's insane. I'd love to see your brain for a second.
She said I have ADHD, but I say I'm able to have all of this energy and I'm able to do all of these things, Tiffany, like that God probably don't grant other people to do. Like I have an immense amount of energy that I'm able to complete all of these tasks without being tired, without being flustered. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to do all of these things, but she called it one thing. I call it something different. I don't know what the clinical term is.
God blesses everybody with a special gift.
Right.
And everybody has their own gift. And you know what? We have to embrace it and just go with it, and just we can't put a label on it, and just learn from exactly what God has given them, that's utilizing, and how it's making a difference, in people's lives. And I mean, we could sit and talk for hours, and I'm gonna have to bring you back here on Saturday. But I know because you can squeeze us in because you're multitasking. So right now you probably just won like 4 chess games, and so that's why he hit the button real quick, because he's like, "Oh, my turn."
I just wrote a book during the podcast too, so new one's coming out, guys.
Yeah. So, but no, but yeah, I want to try to wrap it up. But you know what, Gary? I mean, you're very unique. There's a lot of layers to you, man. And I know we just touched the surface. And I know I would definitely want to bring you back on here because, there's a lot more we can talk about: the streets, the multitasking, the self-publishing. But I just want to give everybody a little bit of flavor. We want to give everybody a little bit of taste of who Gary McDonald is, and then we'll just bring you back, because what you're doing is universal. It needs to be universal, And we're having hard conversations about things that people don't want to have, and they're having them in their homes, but they're not having them in public. And we need to get to a point where, if we want change, we need to start having these conversations out in the streets. and open, honest conversations. And, so there's a lot going on here. And I think I'm going to wrap up with that. Tiff, what do you have?
On mute. That's the hardest thing I did today. I had to take myself off mute. But so no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it's like, Lance, what have I told you about the onions? It's like we're peeling the layers of the onions here. And I don't think we got to the core of you, Gary, yet. But I mean, there's so much that we've learned in this like last 35 minutes with you, and just it's amazing to hear that you have all these books, and absolutely want to recommend to everyone or anyone that's listening to this to make sure to check out your books. I believe they're on Amazon. We'll make sure we work with Gary as well to have all the links in there where you can go and find them. I'm really intrigued. I want to read several of your books, so, and if not all of them. I'm not a huge reader like Lance is, but I'll get there. They are really interesting, and I think they touch on a little bit of what you shared about your life story, and also I think your mission and what you're trying to communicate to the world so that we can see the change that we need to see in the world. So thank you, Gary. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, take care, Gary. You have a wonderful night. Cheers.